is a crown that I made using floral. I've got fake leaves here, pulled it over a headband, and then I used a mix of regular flat back rhinestones, crystal rhinestones, and also these chunkier acrylic gems. These acrylic gems are sometimes also referred to as rhinestones. They are sold in craft stores. They're very, very affordable. They're made out of plastic, so glues like traditional E6000 will eat these stones, so you do want to be careful what adhesive you use. You could use the E6000 fabric fuse on them. It does take a lot of fabric fuse to hold them on, so I tend to use hot glue for these gems. Hot glue does get brittle over time, so if this was a really flexible piece, I wouldn't use hot glue, because over time with it getting brittle, they would snap, they would start popping off. So you can use those acrylic gems for their purposes. They read really well as color. They don't have so much sparkle from stage, but they do look fun and kind of decadent, and you can always mix them with other things in your projects. And this is my sparkly phone, and it is rhinestoned with very cheap Chinese-made DMC rhinestones in Crystal AB. Crystal AB rhinestones can vary quite a bit in what sheen they have on them. The cheaper ones I've noticed tend to have a more yellow sheen, versus the little more expensive ones tend to have more of a pink sheen to them. But that does vary brand to brand. The phone I picked up at the thrift store, and then I did put in close to here on the dial here. It's not an effect that really reads well from stage, but these are SS8 rhinestones, Crystal AB. I think they actually are Preciosa stones. So you can see the difference in twinkle that a bigger stone and a little stone has. Here's a dress that I rhinestoned for one of my acts, and this one is special in that I used the actual hot fix adhesive that came on these rhinestones. These are Crystal AB rhinestones from Shine Art. They are the cheaper Chinese-made Crystal AB DMC stones that Shine Art carries. They're like a bulk rhinestone. And I used the hot fix adhesive that came on the backs. I would place a section of stones in the middle of the polka dot on the dress, and then I would place my hot iron over the top to activate the hot fix and secure the rhinestone down, and it worked great. It was a pretty fast, easy to do process. Standing at my ironing board, I did this, and it came out, I think, great. I haven't lost any stones. They're staying really nice. This is a cotton dress, so I didn't really risk scorching the dress. I would never be able to do this effect on something that was more delicate, so a synthetic fabric would have melted definitely from the heat of the iron or been scorched. Every single polka dot has a rhinestone in it. This right here is a dress shirt that I wear in one of my acts. This is from Hotel Pennsylvania as well. You can see that I used the pattern in the shirt to determine where I placed my stones. So at every little cross hatch that happened, I put a rhinestone on it. So it enhances the pattern in the fabric and gave me a really mathematically precise grid to rhinestone on. These are SS40 rhinestones that I replaced the buttons with. The shirt has snaps in it, so it doesn't actually have real buttons in it. So instead of a button, I just put a big rhinestone on it. I did these cute little accents on the wrist. So this is the coat to my Hotel Pennsylvania act. This is one of my most sparkly acts, so you're gonna see a few pieces of it today. You can see here that I used multiple sizes of rhinestones, and you can really see the difference in the twinkle that different sized stones create. These stones here on the seams of the coat are SS10 stones. They are along the seams that happen in this jacket naturally. And then I filled in between them with a mix of cyan, which is red, and jet stones. There's also, it's actually light cyan and cyan. This is light cyan on the collar, and it is stoned solid. I trimmed the collar in ribbon and then rhinestoned the ribbon over it so that it would have a solid red backing behind it. And you can see, don't even be afraid to decorate the buttons on your pieces. So this is a piece where I utilized the print on this bra to create my rhinestoning pattern. So this is a solid bra with a mesh overlay that had some beautiful, intricate embroidery on it, and I decided to just rhinestone that embroidery. So I did that. I just followed it faithfully. I filled in some parts of it with jet, but for the most part it's mostly light cyan. I find that light cyan can vary a lot brand to brand on if it's more orange red or more pink red. You can even see it on this applique that I added to the bra, that these acrylic stones are light cyan, but they are definitely more orange, and these are light cyan and they are definitely more pink. And when I do bras, I also tend to put some stones on the back band, even though it's not usually seen a ton. I just don't want anybody to think I just like forgot. What you're looking at here is my corset for my Elsa act. So this corset is a steel-boned corset that I bought. It was blue, and I painted it with tulip spray-on paint, fabric paint. It's a flexible fabric paint, so it didn't get too crispy, it didn't get too stiff. It stayed pretty flexible, so I can still put the corset on, cinch it up, and have it fit my body and not crack. So you can see there's a lot going on in this corset. We've got appliques down at the bottom, and they are decorated individually. Every single one of them is different, like a snowflake. I sewed them onto the corset after I had done this part of the stoning. This part of the stoning is that technique I was talking about earlier, where I started with one color, put my glue dots down, put those down, and then I moved on to the next one. There is a mix of crystal AB, aquamarine, and aquamarine AB rhinestones on this corset. The aquamarine ABs are up on the trim, and the regular aquamarine are in there. There's a mix of SS20s and SS16s. And like I said, I would just place one color completely, and then I would go back, and in between the spaces left from that, I would place the next, and so on and so forth, until I built just this nice kind of chaotic scatter. And you could see here, the technique I used was to apply it tighter at the front of the corset, where you're gonna see me more, and it slowly fades off to lighter. I didn't want a ton of stones up against this, where it would get more rubbed on more and possibly shed more. So, and plus you just don't see the back of me as much as you see the front of me in this act.